to questions. So everybody come on in when you folks are ready. Let me know and we'll get this rolling.
You're all set, Brian? You all set? You all set?
Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is John Capron. I'm currently president of the J.S. Coster Hose Company Incorporated, also known as Port Leyden Fire Department. Joining me today at the table is Larry Holfert, board member, Tim Thayer, board member, Lisa Mawat, board member, Jen Sampson, secretary, and numerous of members behind me. First and foremost, we would like to make it clear that the J.S. Coster Hose Company has not, nor will it ever, discontinue fire, EMS services to the communities to whom we serve, regardless of unresolved issues between village officials and the fire company. With this being said, there's been several attempts made by both entities to seek resolutions for ongoing issues and concerns between the fire company and village officials, with no productive outcome. All information shared today is based on fire company knowledge and our interpretation of the current events. I'd like to start off with a little bit of history. So, one of many concerns pertaining to building structures located at 3387 Douglas Street, located in the village of Port Leyden. This undeveloped parcel of property was purchased by village officials around 1934 and remained undeveloped until 1940, when the fire company approached village officials requesting permission to develop a community baseball field. Village officials accepted the fire company's request. A 20-year lease was established between both entities. That lease, however, was never renewed for unknown reasons. However, in the early 1970s, both entities agreed to develop this parcel of property even further on a gentleman's word and handshake. Planning began to develop a new fire station to include a large room, large enough to host community gatherings and events, as well as a kitchen facility. The fire company was unable to finance this project alone. However, it was proposed to make the install correct. Sorry about that. I think I'm missing the page. Can we pause a minute?
Yep.
Sorry. Oh, this is the page.
Home button. It's not qualified. He doesn't have to represent. Like we're all already know where it is.
Well, okay. Sorry. All right, let's back up. My apologies, folks. I was proofreading and getting things together as I was coming out the door.
I think you have
So we'll back up to left off at the kitchen facility. Okay. The fire company was unable to finance this project alone. However, it was proposed they make installment payments to the village, totaling 50% of materials required for the project. The proposal also outlined that active members would donate their time and the necessary manpower in the hopes of alleviating some of the financial burden. Village officials accepted the fire company's proposal, and the current fire station project was successfully completed in 1973, which is the building we are in currently. The fire company approached the village officials around 1975 to propose an additional development of the property by constructing several buildings used for field day functions and storage. Once again, on a gentleman's word and a handshake, village officials accepted the fire company's proposal. The fire company slowly continued to progress on the construction of the buildings as their finances allowed. The total construction project was completely funded by the fire company and was completed in 1987. As time progressed, the use of the field day buildings dwindled, and over time, the conditions of the southern end portion deteriorated, which in turn leads to our current events. For several months, village officials and fire company have attempted to find resolutions regarding the field day buildings. Finally, on March 20th, 2023, both entities reached a village resolution number 6-2023. This resolution states that the southern end of the field day building will be demolished, while the northern end will be left for use by the fire company. However, since this resolution, it was discovered that there are several spots of mold noted in the northern portion due to water damage from a frozen water line that split located in the ceiling. Water is turned off routinely each fall season, and unfortunately the damage was not observed until the water to the facility was turned back on following June of 2021. On June 1st, 2023, the fire company was contacted by village officials stating due to public health concerns and the field day buildings being uninsurable, the structures in its entirety will be demolished, and all activity shall cease in said structures immediately. June 5th, 2023, the fire company took it upon themselves to contact the village insurance broker. It was clearly stated that there was insurance on said structures at this time. With this knowledge, the fire company contacted a restoration company specializing in mold removal, and a date of June 8, 2023 was established to conduct required estimates for repairs free of cost to the fire company. On June 7, 2023, fire members entered the field day buildings against village consent, and local law enforcement was contacted. The fire company informed local law enforcement of the current situation and advised them that there was a scheduled appointment for the restoration company the following morning to come out to review the mold damage and to provide an estimate free of cost for the required restorations needed to maintain the public safety. This information was relayed to the village mayor. The following morning, the village mayor contacted the restoration company and advised them that there was no insurance on the field day buildings, and if they entered said buildings, they would be arrested for trespassing. The restoration company declined to come and can provide correction. The restoration company declined to come and cannot provide an estimate until this matter is resolved. Although several attempts have been made by both entities for resolutions, there still remains conflict and animosity. Unfortunately, once these two entities coexist together as one for the better of the community, has been torn apart for personal ambitions. Hopefully the future will once again unite the two most important entities for the well-being of this community in which they serve. Thank you. We'll be happy to answer any questions that we can.
So what is the resolution, what is an acceptable resolution that the fire company would accept in terms of these field day buildings?
Currently, the resolutions the fire company would like to accept is for village officials allow restoration companies to come out to the buildings to assess the damage and to provide them with an accurate repair plan.
And is the fire department willing, I think maybe you might have told me in the past that the fire department was willing or has voted in favor of supporting the cost of the mold removal if
Yeah.
necessary?
On June 5th, the fire company had passed a motion at their monthly meeting to make the repairs required to make the building safe for the public.
And the resolve to come to a resolution on this would be the agreement that we had on March 20th to tear down the south end and keep the north end where we have our bar and stuff that we rent out. That's the resolution we agreed to, and that's the one that's acceptable, in my opinion.
So the whole goal of tearing the field age structure down, the village would like to expand the playground, which we are all in favor of. We recognize the southern of the building is in bad shape. Us financially to fix that is not to our best interest. However, the northern part of the field day building is in excellent shape, does need minor repairs due to water damage, and we are willing to establish that cost to maintain it.
And what's the significance of the field day building to the fire department? Like, what do you guys use it for? What kind of activities and events happen
So,
there?
along with the village, as well as the fire company, we use it for storage during the winter. And during the good seasons, we rent the field, we rent that portion out for events. It's easy revenue for the fire company. It requires very minimal manpower and hours. It's very sufficient for us. We do not make a lot of money on it, but we do make money on it.
And I had spoken to the mayor in the past, and he said something about building a pavilion there, and saying that he had offered to put in a hood so the fire department can have barbecues. Is that something that was related to you guys, or what do you think about it?
Yes, it was. The original plan was to tear the southern end down. The village is going to put a pavilion up with an open kitchen. We've talked to people in the community. They like the setup we have on the northern end because we can close our garage doors down if the weather is bad or if it's cold to help maintain heat. Open pavilions can't subside to that point.
Every time we rent it, we can get $300 for the rental on the building down there, the bar and the dance hall. I don't know anybody in their right mind that's going to pay $300 to rent a pavilion. And then we'd have to, they want us to split that with the village. Why should we split it when we're getting the $300 per event at that building? That just don't make any sense.
So it's revenue lost, essentially, if it
Correct.
turns into a
Yeah.
pavilion. Okay.
Revenue lost as well as we would have to pay for storage for the stuff that we have in there now, our hose, stuff like that. We don't have to find it because we don't have a place to store that stuff. So that's another added cost to the fire department that we just can't afford.
And it wouldn't be just one storage unit, it'd have to be several.
Yeah.
So that's a monthly cost that it's just not right, you know? Just an unnecessary expense.
I would also like to make note that the fire company is the only entity that has investments into these buildings. Yes, the village owns the property, we understand that. There has not been any issues for the last 80 years between both entities working together to improve the community. To elected officials will vote on it.
And
Personally, I would think the fact that it's been like that for 80 years or whatever, how many years it's been, I would think that would represent an agreement in itself. And apparently not. So, no.
so where would you say things stand currently at this moment in terms of the village officials and your communication with them, their communication with you, as far as getting this issue resolved for
So we're-
basically the betterment of the community?
So, myself, the village mayor, and our representatives are currently scheduling meetings for next week. As soon as everybody gets together, the four of us will sit down and attempt to find some resolutions, bring them back to our bodies for presentation, and see who will go from there.
And is at this point, is the fire department honoring the village's request with the public health notice that's been issued for the building as far as not entering the premises and things like that?
From this point forward, yes. Wednesday evening was the last night we were in there, and we have not been in there since. As you can tell, they have it taped off and posted up. But we are not allowed in there even to attempt to make restorations needed in efforts to keep the building.
Or to evaluate what we have in there, so if we want to sell some of our equipment, other fire departments could purchase it if they need it. We can't even get in there and do that.
I will add, the village has accommodated to letting us in with their prior permission and approval. We have to reach out, contact them, they'll give us a yay or nay.
Do you plan on doing that sometime this next week?
Probably not until after we meet with our legal counsel.
And in terms of the restoration, sorry, I have to play devil's advocate because I spoke with the mayor as well. But he said there's a specific bidding process that is required by the state in order to make restorations, things like that.
Absolutely not.
Okay, yeah, what is your comment on
We
that?
talked to the, I'm sorry,
Yep.
we talked to the laboratory company. They are on board with us doing whatever we need to do to fix it. We do not have to have separate bids to do this. All we need is one that we can afford to pay for. That is it. That is a complete false statement.
And they're even
From the
cutting us a
mayor.
deal because we're a volunteer fire department, so it's not gonna be that expensive. What'd they say, Larry, they were gonna do for us?
The price on their paper that we received from the village was $35,000 to $40,000. It's not a proper quote, but she said from the picture that she's seen, it was roughly $3,500 to $10,000 that we would have to pay to have it fixed. And I want to add that the people that come in and test it for the mold said it did not need to be tore down. It can be cleaned, and we have all the right to clean it. And as far as the insurance goes, New York State, they have to give us 60 days. Insurance companies have to give us 60 days unless we're dropped. And we're all certain that happen.
Any other questions?
So at this point, it looks like the plan going forward is both sides will be meeting at some point next week to hopefully to come to some sort of agreeable resolution?
Correct.
Okay.
And you know, I know this is, you guys are obviously love this building, community loves this building, there's a lot of history and attachment to it. You know, how would you feel or what would you be experiencing had it, if it, you know, is demolished?
I'd like to answer that.
Go ahead.
Over 30 years I've been a fireman. I've never had to ask permission to enter our own buildings. That all the people that have ever bought a raffle ticket from us, a piece of chicken, bought one of our fundraising tickets through the last 40, 50 years have paid for that. That's their building. We're only the custodian. And all these years never had to ask permission to go into that building is a shame. And it's degrading. And them buildings mean more to us because we're firemen than them people do because they're not firemen. They didn't volunteer and they're welcome to if they'd like to. Just throwing that out there. And simply all these years, it's just heartbreaking. It really is. And we're nobody special. We're just a fire department. People helping our community. And the only thanks we need is the fact that when we're done with a fire call and ambulance call, we know in our heart we helped somebody and that's all we need. I'm done preaching.
May I add something to that? Yeah. So that field day building, to our younger generation, I know myself growing up here in Port Leyden, Trenton here, and a lot of our younger generation of firefighters, we grew up here in this community around the field day building because we were down here helping our parents and such. That is how the fire department is going to continue to grow. That's going to be what continues to bring these younger generations of firefighters and the people who want to volunteer in the community are going to come around and see us doing what we do. That's our way of reaching out and gaining more members. You take that away and we lose that. Then the village runs out of members. It's exactly how it falls apart.
If we're worried about building pavilions, there's one right out back there that never gets used. It just sits there and does nothing. So if they're that concerned with the pavilion, there's plenty of room in there that they can rent it out and they can put their kitchen or whatever they want in there. There's no reason to tear our building down to do that. None whatsoever, it's just out of spite.
Not considering the pool was already gone.
To me, personally, I just think it's an ego trip to get this big project done to make Port Leyden the next Disney World or something, I don't know. But it really is truly heartbreaking.
So it is widely known that there's a shortage of volunteerism for EMS and fire service, first responders in general. This type of relationship currently having between village officials and the department is very reluctant on bringing new personnel into the streets. People don't want to get involved with this stuff. It's very discouraging, very heart-wrenching.
And the sad thing is, there's a lot of departments around here that this could actually happen to them. The same thing could happen if the wrong people get in office.
Not to mention, John, it's even the old one. It weighs on all of us, the older firemen that have been here for 5, 10, 18, 20, 30 years. This is hard for us. We all have lives.
It's really a very simple solution. The repairs can be made. It's in the reports that the village obtained, even from the public health officer. Nowhere in either report does it suggest demolition of the building, but to restoration of it.
Can you show us those?
I currently right now wish not to, just because it's part of legal documentation. I may think the village may have submitted them. Do you guys, let me ask the board. Let me not make that decision myself.
I'm okay with showing them. I think they need to see it.
Absolutely.
We'd be more than happy to share it with you then. As long as the board's with that, I will support the thinking. So yes, I have them right with me. You're welcome to see them if you like.
Were there already plans and rentals and things in place for this summer?
There was. The village has offered to supply the community room and the pavilion to offset those rentals, compliant on their stipulations and insurance policy.
I'm sure they'll want to cut it off.
They have offered that.
So really, this is just 80 years of a handshake agreement you're hoping that is strong enough that it won't be broken.
And the fact that we've maintained and
Right.
put that money into that building for,
We're not asking for the village to compensate any funding for those buildings whatsoever. We're just asking for the simple chance to bring a company in, assess the damage, see what's going to cost to repair, and see if we financially can make those repairs.
And I'm
That's
sure
all
the
we're
community
asking
would
for.
be willing to help
and
raise
if
some
we-
money as well.
And if we can't afford it, that's a different story. Let's find out where we stand financially on this, and we'll take it from there. But just because there's mold in that building doesn't mean it has to come down, and nobody in the Converse Laboratories or the remediation company has said that that building has to come down. It's just the ceiling, and they make it sound like the building's ready to collapse, and that's false. It's just the ceiling in the one room.
and it's only about 5 or 6 spots, 8 inches around that actually has.
I believe the report says there's 8 locations that has mold growth on it that's been tested.
We can take the whole ceiling down.
That
and
needs to
replace
be
it. No big deal. And then they told us there's no insurance on it. We have documentation to prove that there is insurance on it. And to me, personally, in my opinion, it looks like they're just throwing these roadblocks along the way so that they can accomplish what they wanted to originally, and that's tear the building down. After we had a vote and an agreement March 20th, and then everything calmed down until all this.
It has been common knowledge at board meetings, the agenda of the mayor of the village.
And board
When
members.
the demolition was decided, initially, we agreed on the southern end of the building and the northern end remaining. And during the board meeting, the mayor advised the board that no demolition would occur on the whole building in its entirety. And our deputy mayor was very thrown off. He had no idea.
He thought we had a previous agreement.
And that was from March
And you found out about the full demolition on June 1?
Yes.
Yeah, this new
The written letter from the
thing,
village.
we thought it was all settled after the March meeting.
This is
Shook hands, everybody's fine, everything's good, now bang, all of a sudden this. Never included the fire department in the decisions, never asked us to participate or nothing.
And we asked at April's meeting, May's meeting, I'm sorry, May's meeting, how we were coming on that part of the building, and they said we'll have a special meeting, and they never said anything to us at that meeting. They would not say anything to
And
us.
they knew it.
And they knew it, and they never did until he got the president got the letter. So we had no clue any of that was going on until John got the paper.
Part of it is not even what they're doing, it's the way they're doing it. They don't include us. They could have called us and said, we're contacting the lab. Would you like to come down and be present when they do their inspection? All that stuff. We just got blindsided. Like we got blindsided at the start of this, when we got the notice we had to be out by July 30th of last year, just out of the blue. We never knew anything about it until then. I mean, come on. Let's have a communication. And I told the board that. It's not always what you're doing, it's the way you're doing it.
So you're implying that there was no public record of their decision-making?
We haven't seen any. For the original decision
So,
making.
are you referring to the resolution of March?
I'm talking about what happened between March and the meeting in May, so there was no...
Nothing.
Nothing on public record though, like nothing on the meeting minutes or...
We were notified of nothing.
The minutes are online. And there's a full video of the March 20th meeting we had.
And they don't read the minutes, they don't read the bills at their meetings. We have no idea what's even in the minutes. They put in what they want, they leave out what they want. That's not proper parliamentary procedure. And it seems like if you ask about that stuff, they get angry at you for asking.
I think one of the main focuses that we have as a group is that we're volunteers. We spend a lot of time here. We try very hard for our community, and we feel very unsupported by our village. We feel very unsupported.
Friend or foe, we'll be there if you need our help, irregardless of what's going on with the village. We've got enough honor and pride, and J.S. Coster Host Company, we would never, never let that happen.
John, you had something about the minutes, you know?
What's that?
John had something about the minutes, you know?
No, I just got a copy of the March minutes.
Yeah, I don't think the minutes include anything there is of this. So,
There is provided by the attorney.
But I mean,
It's not on public record.
but just not on public record, right?
Correct. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody from the village,
anybody got any questions?
citizens, community members?
I do have a statement. The night of the March 20th meeting, I have it on tape, the entire meeting, and the mayor made the statement that he has wanted part of that field day building gone since the day he became mayor. Just saying. And I was sworn at by a couple of the board members when we asked questions. They either sat there at the table and swear or crab at you because you asked the question.
That's all. I have a question about the chicken barbecue that's scheduled on the 17th. That's still happening?
No, now we had to cancel it. They refused to let us have it.
Raise money.
So,
No alternate site?
Pardon me?
No alternate site?
We'd have to get the permits.
We don't have time to get permits, and it's already an advertised barbecue.
so as the standings are right now, through Ian Gilbert, which is the village's attorney, J.S. Coster Host Company has been informed. They are allowed on property, on site. They are allowed to enter the field day building to conduct fire and EMS services as needed, but they are not allowed to go out and continue any fundraising events, not excluding to chicken barbecues. We have bingo here every other Thursday night.
And just so you know, that chicken barbecue, we lost between $2,500 It's $5,000 you could have made at that chicken barbecue. Next weekend it was planned.
Wait, can you clarify, did you just say that the village attorney said that you can't hold any fundraising activities at all? Not just in reference to the field day village, or building?
That is correct, not without their permission.
We have it in writing.
So like not anywhere, like even if you find a location.
Not on village location.
If we have a chicken barbecue off, use that for an example, off the village premises, we have to get a permit. And if we take it off site, we have to have some way to keep the chicken cold and the chicken hot, the salads cold and all that stuff. It's just more convenient doing it here because we don't have to go through the permit application and all that stuff. And now we don't have time to order the chicken and stuff.
So in other words, you couldn't take 3 or 4 like half drums or barrels, fill them up full of hot charcoals right out here in your driveway.
That's what we typically do for a chicken barbecue.
Yeah, we have them set up out there where the trucks are usually and we barbecue, you know.
And that has nothing to do with the building though.
Since it's like village property,
Yes, and
essentially.
quite honestly, if you want to get technical, they got the building gift wrap for us over there. The southern end of that building has nothing to do with this. It's just the northern end.
Right.
So why are we being refused to go in the southern end? We got stuff in there that we got to get out of this.
But is the northern end is the one that's going to be kept, right?
The bar. That's the far end.
Well, it was supposed to be.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to be. This end from where the
This is gonna be
stand is down here. Yeah, that's
Okay.
got nothing to do with it. There's no mold or anything in it. So why can't we go in there and get our stuff at our time? People have jobs, they have lives. We can't always just dedicate days and days and days to come over here and do that.
That portion was not included in the health inspection. The southern end was not inspected. It
Just
was
the northern
only-
end.
Only the northern end.
But they want to demolish the southern end?
Correct.
They want
They wanted to
We're fine
demolish
with
it.
Well, they're all gone now, but originally they just wanted the southern
We
end,
had come to an
Originally,
agreement.
we came to agreement to take the southern.
where there is no mold or...
Correct.
No,
And let
We
them,
agree.
that would give them room to expand their playground.
We
And
had
to
already
open
agreed.
that up. The northern end hides nothing.
I think the intellectual term is called compromise. Nobody goes away happy, we had an agreement, it's that simple.
So I'd like to make
Everything was fine until...
there seems to be some confusion on events and what the firemen can and cannot do. So, I obtained a letter from the village's attorney dated June 6th of 2023. Second page, item 2. Cease and desist holding any further events, including but not limited to barbecues, parties, and fundraisers at the field day buildings or any other village properties wherein they be indoor or outdoor without prior notice to and permission from the village board. You may, for now, continue to engage in fire protection activities using village property without prior notice and consent.
Thank you very much.
So what's the reasoning, I know this is the question 3 was report, but what's the reasoning you wouldn't be able to have now? You know what I mean?
Houses to be fundraising.
Right.
I'm surprised we didn't get the rest of
I mean, I would understand if you weren't allowed in the building to do it.
That has nothing to do with the building. We don't-
Correct.
The chicken barbecues are held.
We've done it out here for years.
So, also, as firemen, you probably know that a fire call isn't just going to the call, putting out the fire or whatnot. So, as far as like equipment maintenance, cleaning equipment after fires, things like that,
Especially our air
you
packs.
still have access to the fire hall to do.
Now we do. We do now, we didn't then.
We did not for a while.
And air packs, one of the most important piece of personal protection equipment you can have is your air packs. And we have to maintain them. We have to check them, especially after we've used them. And we gotta make sure everything in here is ready to go if we do have a call. And we were, at one point, not allowed to do that.
So on Wednesday, June 7th, when the firemen entered the field day buildings against village consent, local law enforcement was called in. The officer on duty was speaking to the mayor as well as us at the same time. The village mayor made the comment that the fire department, fire personnel could not be on village property only to answer 911 calls. yesterday morning, I took it upon myself to reach out for some support and to advise the mayor that due to contractual agreements between the town of Leyden and Linesdale, they cannot justify us by not coming into the fire company because we have to service and maintain our equipment so we're ready for those 911 responses. Yesterday afternoon at 1:21, I received a correspondence from our attorney stating that was revoked, that we could enter the buildings as needed to conduct fire business
But still no fundraising.
without funding.
Yeah.
Just normal fire and EMS services.
Right, and just so I know, how much do you usually typically make in like fundraising each year?
Each year? I don't think-
Sorry, that's a lot, but like,
No, that's
ballpark,
okay.
how many fundraisers do you do?
So on average, we do 6 barbecues. We do six chicken barbecues, usually generating around $3,000 profit a week. So that alone is, just losing that alone hurts. You know, we are a non-for-profit organization. We operate under contractual money, which the village does get a percentage of that. They do pay for the fuel for the truck. We do pay for the insurance. We understand that.
They get 65% of our fire contracts to help pay for everything.
And for fuel and lights and stuff for this
Lights,
building,
heat,
so,
all that
and they
stuff.
keep that.
So
for
by
that.
taking time away for us to address these concerns and issues, it takes away time from the community. It takes away our training, our services to them, our protection to them. We shouldn't have to be doing this.
Some of the events, it's like bingo. We don't make a lot of money at bingo. We make a little bit. But we also are giving something to the community to do. We're going to give back to the community. And all this money they're taking from us from the fundraiser, like this coming Saturday, it's just more of a burden on the taxpayers.
And more of a burden on us because it's just more work that we have to do.
It's a burden on us. Where do we come up with the finances to do such?
One set of turnout here is $3,000.
I will make added point that the village of Port Leyden is required by state law to provide a Class A engine, as they do, as the one behind us. That equipment on that Class A engine is owned by J.S. Costa Hose Company, as well as the remaining trucks. So we've been working quite regularly well with village officials in the past. I'm not really sure why we're having this strong debate over building buildings. That we've agreed, hey, yes, let's tear the bad portions down, let's improve the playground, but please let us fix the northern end for minor money so it can continue to generate revenue for us.
Okay, well said. Got anything else?
Some of us in the community would be willing to do some fundraisers and donate all the money to Port Leyden Fire Department.
We'll take it.
There's actually been several community members reach out to me. Say, hey, have the barbecue here, you don't need the permits, we'll host it, you help us, we will donate the proceeds.
We've had offers.
And we highly appreciate that.
And is that something that you guys are willing to, work
We
out?
are most willing to do that. Hopefully we don't have to because our setup is convenient. We can store our chickens in our big coolers here. If it's warm, we're right here. I mean, I don't want to sound like a baby and say it's convenient one, but it's very convenient to have it. Plus, if we get a call, we're right here. We're no,
Kill two birds with one
How
stone.
many times is that?
You need a piece of chicken on
Out
a
there,
fire.
yeah.
Right, yeah. And then I guess I could do this separately, but just get your guys' first and last name and spelling for me. I know you spoke, and I know you said your guys' names, but if I could just get more solid spelling and things like that.
My name's Timothy Thayer, T-H-A-Y-E-R, board member.
Lisa Malott, M-A-L-O-T-T, board member.
John Capron, Jon, Capron, President.
Larry Hofer, LARYHOFFERT. I'm a board member.
Thank you guys.
And our chief wanted to be here, but he couldn't do it. So I don't want anybody to think that he skipped out on it.
Right, yep, I got it.
So I would be happy to show the documentation you received to you guys. The village approved it, so whenever you guys want to look at it, I would be happy to share it.
And thank
All
you
set?
very much for coming out.
Yeah, thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
holding
Thank you very
the
much.
signs behind me for a great backdrop.